Live. Your boy is live. Right now, I'm hanging out at the library. It's one of my favorite places on the entire planet. And I did a little bit of reading. I got a new book. I returned some books. And yeah, now lately I've been pondering some questions. I've been thinking about some stuff. And when some people get in here, I'm hoping that you guys could maybe get in this conversation out. Let me know what you guys think. Um, yeah. Now, I haven't been live in some time, so let's see. No, I don't want a green screen. I'm cool with showing you guys where I'm at. It's fine. Nobody wants no makeup. Nobody wants to be retouched. You guys can see all the blemishes on me. It's fine with me. I ain't tripping. Ain't nobody skirt. Ain't nobody skirt. But yeah, it's a beautiful day outside today. Very beautiful day. Waiting till some people get in here, and then I'll start the discussion because I don't feel like talking to myself. It's okay to talk to yourself. I think so. That's actually been something that I've been trying to normalize for some time, at least within myself. Now, I'm not, I don't know, what the fuck is normal? What is crazy? But yeah, people talking with themselves, working things out in real time, speaking aloud so they can hear themselves and not just whatever's passing through their brain. I'm really big into that. I even have a song called Here Now where I say what's on your mind just to hear it loud. I think that's important for people to be able to hear themselves when they speak and things of that nature. And so, like, I'm always really big into that, which is like saying what is on my mind, saying what is passing through my mind aloud, so that way I can actually process them instead of them just like being on this recycled loop of information that I don't really necessarily know what to do with it. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining. This is an open forum because I've been doing some research in the past couple days and I got some questions, and I'm hoping that some of y'all could help me out or at least jump into conversation and see if we're aligned in some of these things. But yeah, for you that who don't know me, I'm Eric Rodriguez. I go by Eric the host. I run the Dope Individuals Only podcast. I do a whole lot of different things. But today, I'm just here to have an open forum about God, about NDEs. For anybody who don't know what that is, that's near-death experiences and and dimensions. So I've been looking into these three things for the past couple days. A couple years ago, a little bit of backstory on me. Um, Last year, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I'm not no Bible thumping person, but I was compelled and I follow my intuition. But before that, for 5 years before that, I was on a spiritual journey, and I'm still on the spiritual journey. A little bit different now, but still on the spiritual journey. And in the past week, I've been feeling really compelled to go back to NDEs. And now, if you guys don't know what NDEs are, I highly recommend that you go check some out. There's a lot of, I'm cool on the Muslim thing, but I definitely respect what you guys got going on. I'm not really into the fanatical stuff, but I have one of my friends, Abu, who is on the Wild Card episodes. He is a Muslim. He's a practicing Muslim. Got a lot of respect for him. I know I can trust him with my life and things of that nature. So, and y'all the only religion who recognizes Jesus Christ. So I give y'all some love for that. But NDEs. We're going back to NDEs. So these are near death experiences. These are people who die for a certain amount of time and they come back and they're able to speak about their experiences, whether it's telling people what they saw, encounters with people that have passed on before them, people they've never even met, like great great grandparents and things of that nature, information that they should not have, information about what was happening in the room, watching the doctors, all types of crazy stuff, right? And then dimensions. So a lot of people think like I'm into that stuff too, which is like conspiracy theories. So one of the big ones is CERN when they turned on their collider back in 2012. They made fractals basically of dimensions for Earth, and it created a whole lot of bullshit that we have to deal with today. And so like people are like phasing in and out of dimensions. And why I mention God is because I am a believer of Christ, and I'm not super like well versed in the Bible, but I've done a significant amount of reading. Like I'm not one of those people that could be like, oh, Colossians verse 2, 2:16. Like I don't do all that stuff. What's up? What's up? Thank you for joining. But yeah, I'm not one of those kind of people, but I do read. I've read all of the Gospels. I'm like, I think in Psalms like 22 right now. And so like I'm a little bit versed in the Bible and stuff. But the Bible has a very clear way to get to heaven, which conflicts with these people who have died, who have been proven dead. What we talking about, Chad? What's the subject? God, dimensions, near-death experiences. Arthur L. Morgan. That's what we're talking about right now. So if you got some context to provide on any of these subjects, drop it in the chat, and I'll be chopping it up with y'all. But I'm having a real confliction between God, religion, Jesus, people who experience dying, the actual physical death process, whether it's from 3 minutes to I've heard stories of people for up to 30 minutes. And these people die and they come back and they have an experience to share with the world, and then dimensions, as far as people feeling like they're going into different dimensions. And we can even throw even like the Mandela effect of what I'm talking about as far as dimensions. So some people remember like the freaking Monopoly guy having a monocle, or the cornucopia on Fruit of the Looms, whatever. But going in and out of dimensions. I know personally, there's been times in my life where like I walk through my house. I lived in my house for the last 10 years, and I know where all my light switches are. But for one moment, I reach on the wrong wall and looking for the light switch, and it's not there. And I'm just like, why would I do that? Like little weird stuff. So like, do anybody have any thoughts on this? Because I've been racking my brain about this the past couple of days, and it's been a confliction for me because there's a lot of NDE stories. I've been listening to NDE stories for years. There's a great podcast called We Don't Die by Sandra Champlain, and she has people from all walks of life, NDE experiencers, hospice nurses, doctors, neuroscientists, shamans, all types of people from all walks of life that have a very keen experience with dealing with people dying in the death process. That have a lot of like very interesting information and experiences in this realm. And like there's a reoccurring theme of when like especially like in organized religion where like we have a hell, we have a hell and we have a heaven, you know what I'm saying? And basically the way we live our lives dictates whether we go to heaven or we go to hell. But then you hear about these people that have NDEs, right? They're atheists, they're agnostic, they come from the Muslim culture, Christianity, Catholicism, Buddhism, all different types of walk of lives, different regions of the world. And like I said, some of them don't even believe in God. And then they die, and they have this experience where they get a life review. They have an experience where they're meeting people who passed on before them, whether it's people they knew in their actual physical life, or people they have never even met, able to come back with insights and information that they have no business of knowing because they were dead at the time. You know what I'm saying? Contacting people who are states away, who don't even know that they're dead at the time, and give them the information that they have died. You know what I'm saying? Like very crazy things. Stories of people seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, being able to think about something and be there in that same moment that they're thinking about it. So we're talking about being outside of 3D dimensions. You know what I'm saying? And this has been racking my brain the past couple of days because, like I said, I just started practicing my faith. I don't really consider myself a Christian, but I guess you can because I did give my life over to Jesus Christ. But there's some things that are conflicting with stories and stories that I believe to be true, as far as like these people with NDEs and them going into different realms and different dimensions. And so I want to know, like, anybody on here, are you guys interested in any of that stuff? What do you guys have to say about some of these things? Whether it's religion, whether it's different dimensions, whether it's people dying and coming back and having an experience to share with people, because I find it absolutely fascinating that somebody can die, um, and then come back to tell the tale of what they've experienced. And a reoccurring theme is the light. People always talk about the light, whether it's they're in some type of tunnel. And we always hear about that, like the light at the end of the tunnel and things like that. But sometimes it's not in the tunnel. Sometimes they're in like a velvety space, they say. And you see this light, and it's just like, it looks like it's super far away. But the moment they focus on it and they want to go to it, and they want to go to the light, they start moving towards it, and then they become part of that light. And that light is warm, and it's loving, and it's kind, and it's familiar, like almost as if you as if like there's a familiarity there, like they've been there before, they have a knowing. And these are people from all walks of life. These aren't just people that believe in Christianity. These, you know what I'm saying, like these are people from all walks. Some of them don't even have belief. Would you say it's an atheist low key, gotta be the most depressed, deprived, and most antisocial, miserable motherfuckers ever. God says not to bring hate to others, forgive and such, but come on, God brings a meaning to life. Change my mind. I'm not necessarily looking to change your mind, but that is an interesting perspective. I wouldn't necessarily think that atheists are depressed, because I know some atheists. There was a time in my life where I considered myself to be borderline atheist, just because I was so heavily involved in this. It's, I think for the average person, it's very hard to get past. We can see, touch, smell, hear, feel, because this is such a real experience. If I punch myself in the face, I'm gonna feel pain, whether it's in my face, in my mouth, in my hands, and it's very, very hard for people to see past that, because this is what they wake up to every day. So to believe that there is something, some magical God somewhere pulling the strings, and there's a lot of bullshit going on around the world, I definitely understand, and I can rationalize with the idea that people don't believe in something beyond this. Um, so yeah, I don't want to piss on nobody parade, but I definitely understand how some people can be faithless, especially when you look around, especially when you look at the news, especially when you look into history, especially when you talk to people and they don't want to have these kind of discussions about God or religion or faith or heaven or hell or the afterlife, the point of life, the purpose of life, how to live, how does one live a good life? Because we all have different ideas of how to live a good life, how to be impactful, how to grow, how to, to share in this world, to be in this world, but also not be of this world. And so like that could be exhausting, bro, to like always think about, oh, is this decision gonna affect whether I get into hell, whether I get into heaven? Is my reaction, you know what I'm saying? Like you read the Ten Commandments, and those are kind of tough. And then you go back and then you read what Jesus has to say about the commandments, and when he says like, you do not have to basically commit adultery to have committed adultery. Gouge out your eye if your eye causes you to sin. Now he doesn't physically mean take out your freaking eyeball, but what he is saying is, get rid of the things in your life that are causing you to do these things. But what if these things are your family? What if you were born into these things and you're conditioned? What if this is the only thing you know? Am I doomed? You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's a hard pill to swallow. That's very deep in when you think about it conceptually, because there ain't no blueprint for this. We all got different books. Muslims got the Quran, Buddhists got a book, uh, Christians got a book. You know what I'm saying? Like we all got books. We got philosophers. We got many teachers on how to teach us how to live. But like if there was only one way to truly live, if there was only one way to truly live a good life, then I think that we would know it. I think that we would be more unified. You know what I'm saying? But that's not something that you see. Sorry for the yap, but I'm not the most religious dude ever. Still, we need a God. I do believe that God is instrumental to to living a good life. I do think that even when I didn't follow Jesus Christ at the time, I did believe that there was something higher than myself, for the simple fact being every day I set an alarm to wake up, but something wakes me up. It's not the alarm, because if I die in my sleep, my alarm is still going to go off. So something deeper than myself, something deeper than that alarm wakes me up every single day. Something animates me and gives me breath every single day. So I do think that for that very reason, that we should all be grateful and realize that there is something bigger than us. Now, as far as who is the one true, that I guess that's all for us to discern. And I think that that's part of the reason why we have a lot of conflict that we do, and we've had a lot of conflict all throughout the world and all throughout history, is the fact that everybody wants their God to be the God. When the fact of the matter is, you know, I can reference the Bible in this instance. It says that God, it was very easy for people to get along when everybody had understanding, when everybody was together in the same region. So he scattered everybody and he made them unable to communicate with each other. And I think that was I think it was harsh, for the very simple fact being that to this very day we still fight over things like whose God is the God. But at the same time, I do think that it was necessary to truly make life worth living, because if we just hung around people that we can connect with, that understand us, that speak our language, that eat our food, that listen to our music, that read the same books, what the hell is so fulfilling about that? What's so interesting about that? But the fact that we get to travel different places, eat different foods, try different, learn different languages, bask in other people's practices and ways of living. That is what life is all about: integration, and learning the cultures and creeds of each other. And I think that's what makes it beautiful. It says, you said, Roderick said, God give us a chance to put meaning in our life. Facts, facts. And it's by doing things like this, even though we're not physically in the same location, we are able to do this right here, right now. Like y'all watching from, I don't know where y'all watching from. Wherever y'all watching from, drop it in the comment section just so I know. Me, I'm in Pennsylvania in the United States of America. And yeah, I do believe that as well, that we are God. I think that not that we are God, but that's a tough one, because this is where like a confliction between me going from just being spiritual to me reading the Word, the Bible more often, and things of that nature. That God is within us. The body is the church. You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, then yeah, God is with us. But are we almighty beings? No. Do we have the power to do great things? Yes. God gave us the power to create. God gave us the power to communicate. God gave us God gave us everything that we got at this moment. So yeah, in that sense, and we have the ability to do the same thing. We have the ability to create life, which is godlike. We have the ability to create, which is godlike. So I agree with you. I do believe that we are God. We are God. Now, are we the God? Nah. But does God go within us? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. He breathes life into us every single day. He gives us the opportunity to do this, to walk out into the world and to contribute. And even if those contributions aren't good contributions, we have the ability, because he gives us the life and breath to do so. Why should you believe in God? I don't know why you should believe in God. I can tell you why I believe in God. I believe in God because there's been a lot of instances in my life where I could easily not be here in this very moment in time. My mother told me, my older sister told me a story about 2 years ago, and it was when we were living. My older sister was about 7, and I'm 4 years younger, so I was about 3 or 4, somewhere in that window. Our birthdays kind of like overlap. Yeah, yin and yang. While being Christian, yes. This is something that signifies balance, as you can see. We also have to integrate the light and the dark side of ourselves. We can't act like everything is peachy, because life is hard. Life comes with its battles. We learn the most when we are challenged. We learn the most in those dark times. And I have not gotten my cross yet, but I will be having a cross, and I will be wearing both of them, because it is something that I practice in both. Life is about balance. Life is about not falling too far on either side of the track. Ultimately, because if you fall too far either on either side of the track, destruction comes. Even if you're falling more on the light side, then you become doormat. You become a doormat. You become susceptible to people deceiving you. And if you fall too far on the dark side, then you are the enemy in that moment. Whether it's the enemy to others, whether it's the enemy to your community, to society, or to oneself. And so the life is about trying to create that balance of not falling too far on either side of the track, and still finding a way to achieve happiness. And I think happiness is achieved through creating balance in one's life, which is very very hard. And I struggle with it every single day. But I wake up and I put my best foot forward. Back to why I believe in God. Back to Chimp 18's question. There was this one time we lived in an apartment building, and we lived on the third floor. My mother had a friend that lived on the second floor, and my mother's friend, she sold drugs, and some people came to rob her because she was the one that had it all at the time. They went to the wrong apartment. They went to our apartment instead of the person downstairs on the second floor. They kicked in the apartment door. They duct taped me and my sister. They beat my mom up. They broke her ribs, and they held us at gunpoint. And ultimately, after they broke my mother's ribs, and she told them, "Y'all in the wrong spot," they dragged my mother down the steps, and they dragged her into the apartment downstairs where they were actually aiming for. And they beat that girl up. They hit her with the gun. They bust all her teeth out, and they went back upstairs, and they were considering killing us. Everybody who had been there, ultimately, they let us all go. They took whatever they took, and they kept it moving. But now, let's say it doesn't go that way. Let's say they think my mother's lying and they shoot all of us in that apartment. It could have happened. There's a lot of instances. I grew up in a I grew up with only my mother, and so we were pretty broke when I was a kid. We moved around a lot as well, and the areas we lived in, they weren't good areas. And so like this was a normal thing for me to live in, like in areas that were like poverty stricken, a lot of drugs and violence in the areas. And my mother did as best as she could, but I mean, you can only do so much when you only have so much to work with, and thank God I'm still here to this day, because the story could have been written a lot of different ways. Another instance, I was coming down the hill when I was 7 years old, riding my bike, and we used to go down this big hill right on the side of my school, and it was a grass hill. You jump off the hill, and then you have to hit your brakes real hard before you fly into the street. But before you can get to the hill, you got to pass a little side street, which was where the main entrance was to my school. Nobody ever came down this street because it was in the school zone, and you have to drive really slow in this area. It's like 10 miles an hour because it's an elementary school. I'm coming down the hill, flying on my bike. I'm probably doing like 20, 25 miles an hour. This one time I go down this hill, here comes a minivan, hits me. Shit launches me about 20 feet into the air. And all when I hit the ground, the only thing I got was this scrape right here on my elbow. That's it. I didn't break nothing. He didn't run me over. But what are the chances of that? What's good? What's good? All right, give me a couple minutes. I got you. Are you gonna be downstairs or upstairs? Got you. I'm gonna be shooting a video for my man Jose Rosado. He runs a clothing line called Always Protected. Check it out. Um, but he's starting a chess club for kids, and I'm gonna shoot a promo video for him today here at the Allentown Library and stuff. So, but yeah, yeah, yeah. Death has been around me my whole life, man. By the time I was like 16 years old, I had lost before around from the ages of 14 to 17, all my high school years, I had lost six friends, and four of them were like actual friends, and the other two, one of them was actually paralyzed. He didn't die, but he was shot and he was paralyzed. And then one of them, we were cool, but we had grown apart by the time we had gotten to high school, but he died as well. And so like death was always present You know what I'm saying? And like I always had this like premonition that I would die in a car accident, which is still possible. I'm not neglecting it or anything, but like I always thought I was gonna die, but like I was like 18 years old because it was such a normal thing in my life to watch people, just live and die at a very young age. And where I come from, man, it's so normal. It's so normal, just like teenage pregnancy is normal. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, man, like the more learning and studying I do, um, I keep finding myself having these questions about heaven, hell, um, God. What is like like are we really going to these places if we don't live a good life here? Um, what is are we go through different dimensions? When we're leveling up in life, and our circle starts to change and life starts to feel like we're going into a different a different cycle of life. Like, are we moving into another realm, another dimension of this place on earth? Like, you know um these people that have near death experiences, what do we think about that experience of someone actually dying, flatlining for minutes, and them coming back with information, them changing their lives, going, waking up, healing, and they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're teachers, and they change, they heal up, and they change their entire life. They just uproot their entire life. Everything they worked for, they uproot their entire life to pursue something based on the fact that they died, and they got information on the other side of that experience. What do we say about that? What do we say about someone who died? They were agnostic, or they were atheists, or they were Buddhist, and they talk about the light, and they felt the presence of God, and they come back, and they realize that we have it all wrong here on earth. Like, what do we say about that? What does that say about us? How we persecute people based on their faith or the region that they come from, for the sole fact being that we're different in that aspect, and we're too afraid to have the conversation about it. What does that say about us? You know, I think about these things. I ponder these things, man. Chimp, yeah, it was rough. It was rough. That's how I ended up back in 2020. Um, like right around the same time that the whole world went on lockdown for COVID. That's how I ended up like finding myself on a spiritual path. I remember one day I was sitting in my bedroom, and at the same time I had started smoking weed, using weed on a regular basis. And I'm laying next to my wife in bed, and she's doom scrolling and stuff on TikTok, and I could hear a video, and it says 5 reasons why you shouldn't be afraid to die. And this Australian woman, who's like a medium, she starts ripping off these details of why we shouldn't be afraid to die. And by the end of this 1 minute 20-second video, my fear of dying was gone. My fear of dying was gone, and it set off a chain reaction for me of a spiritual path, of trying to figure out what is the point of all this, because we all are going to expire at some point. So what is the purpose of all this? How do we make this life worth living? And how do we contribute as much to the world as we possibly can, even though we are just one person? And that's how I ended up doing all the things that I do, especially with my podcast. Because what I realized was, based on like media, social media, news, whatever, popular outlets that we're into, the only thing they love to glorify is rage bait. They love to glorify celebrities. They love to glorify people who hoard a lot of wealth, millionaires and billionaires. But what about the billions of us that are everyday people, living everyday lives, but doing extraordinary things? And that's where I got the idea to start my podcast, which was, I want to give ordinary people living ordinary lives but doing extraordinary things an opportunity to let people know some of the things that they're up to. And so I started the podcast called Dope Individuals Only. And that's what it's predicated on. People sharing their personal life journeys. I got people that um, work on school boards, people who run businesses, educators, um, uh, people who just got out of prison going through reform, people experiencing homelessness, musicians, painters, aspiring actors, all these type of things, um, all these type of things, so that way I could show people that, hey, you can be ordinary and still be extraordinary at the same time. But I'm gonna go in here, go help my man out with this video. Um, Subscribe to my page. Subscribe, follow me on like Instagram and stuff. You can follow me at Dope Individuals Pod. If you just click this link right here, you'll be able to follow me and find all my socials. Hit me up, man. I'm always open to have discussions. I'm gonna be doing these live videos a little bit more because I like having open forum and stuff like that. I'm sorry if the video and the audio is not synced up. I know I have my headphones in, but I'm not entirely sure exactly what's happening. So, but yeah, man. Team with Mac, thank y'all for the comments. Chimp, thank you for the comments. Arthur L. Morgan, thank you for the comments. Um, you know what I'm saying? All of you guys, wherever you're watching from, I see my man say he's from Singapore and is 1 o'clock right now. That's incredible. And we're on the other side of the world from each other and we're communicating, bro. Like that's incredible, man. Look at God working for real. Um, but bros. But yeah, man, hit me up. Subscribe to my channel. I'm always dropping new content and things like that. I have a lot of open forum discussions. I run a blog as well on my Discord, which you can find out through my website, dopeindividuals.com. I'm at dopeindividualsonly.com. I'm up to a lot of different things. I'm all about creating spaces for people to communicate, for people to build relationships, for people to have open forum discussions, to enlighten each other, and ultimately just to build community. That's what I'm all about. So if you guys are up to the same thing, if that's what you're looking for, stay here, stay right here, because that's what I'm all about. But peace and love and prosperity to all y'all, man. It was dope talking with y'all, and holla, peace.